The street is where we create. We call it suburbanpreneurship.
Mixing big company resources with an entrepreneurial spirit.
This is Electric People.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Electric People. I am really excited for today's episode. We have Connor Doyle and Mitch Bolduc on the show. Two long-time first-timers on here, and I'd say a little long overdue. I've just kind of been waiting for these two to have a decent quarter at the same time to get these two on. You're going to both have to put the mics closer to your mouth, by the way. I should have said that before. Yeah, and we're going to have to put up with some antics from Mitch during this whole thing, Connor. So
sorry for the ADHD.
Let's see if we can sit still for this.
We'll see if we can sit still. But no, Connor and Mitch are awesome. If you don't know them, you probably aren't on the East Coast. So West Coasters, I'm excited to introduce you guys to these two characters and two people that I consider good friends. So I'm excited to just dig in a little bit deeper. And the superpower that you both have that I'm really excited to kind of really dig into today is recruiting. You guys have, I'd say, kind of built your careers through recruiting, and you're both very competent, very good salesmen at the same time, but you truly excel at recruiting. And it's something that you've both been really, really good at for a long, long time. We celebrate top sales all the time in this company, and they're kind of like the, almost like the fighter pilots of the company. Like they get all the glory a lot of times for hitting franchise. I think recruiting is equally as important, if not just, even more important in a lot of ways. You guys are truly the builders. Like you're the ones building the company and building, your teams. And, these teams that you guys have been on, a huge chunk of these offices are through your recruiting efforts. So I'm really excited to get into it today, hear from both of you. So why don't we just start right now? Some quick stats. Mitch is going on his 6th consecutive quarter as a 6-star recruiter, but you've been 6 stars off and on for how many years now?
I came close a couple of times. I think I only had hit it once before.
Okay.
I really never kicked it in. Like I always wanted to kind of get on his level with it. I kind of never really picked his brain. I was waiting for you to bring it up. I had a text message. So I lost my stepbrother a couple years back, December 8th, 2022. And that one really stuck with me. The last text message he ever sent me was, "Bro, Sunrun is out here." I was like, "I know." Said, expletive, "I didn't know that, but I get a job out here, blah, blah, blah." Said, "That would be awesome. I can get you hooked up. Let me know." And I never acted on it. Passed away a couple days later. And I made it my mission at that point in time. I said, I'm never going to mess up on possibly changing somebody's life. Obviously, I know, couldn't save him, but he was on his way to work, dropped his cell phone off his motorcycle, boom.
Wow.
Like a bug on the highway.
Jeez.
And, that's really what made me start recruiting was I never wanted to be able to control that outcome again and really kicked it into gear.
And Connor, you guys both have, I know Mitch, one of the things that I've noticed about, I'd say Mitch in particular the last year, is you become really obsessed with the stats and you really know the numbers and you know exactly how many sales and installs your entire recruiting downline has to have in order for you to get 6 stars every quarter. Connor, I'd say, is in a little bit different position. By the way, both these guys, Connor's market leader in our Western Mass team right now. Mitch is team leader in Boston West. Connor, your downline, your total. And when did you start with this, by the way? What year?
It was almost 9 years ago.
And you were how old?
I was 20 years old.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, October 5th, 2015 was my first day at Vivint Solar at the
wow.
time.
Okay. So start when you're 20.
Yep.
And you're just kind of like approaching it very casually, but you started recruiting your friends over the course of the years. Now, 9 years later, Mitch had the stats pulled up. How many people are in your first generation recruits and then second generation recruits and so on? Do you know, or does Mitch kind of have to tell us?
Didn't you just
I just wrote it down. So first, so my layer 1 had 58 total recruits. My layer 2 has 119 total recruits. So out of those, about 60 to 70 are still active to this day.
So you've recruited 60 people personally.
Yep.
And then those 60 have recruited another 120.
Exactly.
Basically. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
And then those 120 have recruited about, we don't track the third.
We don't track the third, but I've done some of that before by going to layer 1 of my layer 2s to get the third layer.
Oh, yeah.
And it just keeps going.
Really?
That's wild.
Do you have any idea total?
No.
Like what your total tree looks like?
It looks like a tree, basically.
Yeah. You're probably over, I mean, you're already at almost 200. You're at 180 first and second layer. So you're probably 300 to 400 people.
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
Over the last 9 years. Pretty amazing, dude.
Yep.
You made a huge impact on not just the company, but a lot of people's lives.
And that's kind of why I do it, right? We talk about stars and equity and all these things, but the most rewarding thing over the years that I've run into is people that have come up to me and given me a hug, being like, man, I can't thank you enough. I owe you my whole life. You changed my whole life. You changed the trajectory. So that's what's really rewarding. But I just do it to help people. I know that you're in a 9-to-5 job, and it's a dead-end job most likely, and you're trading your time for money, which is not a very smart thing to do, right? You want to buy your time back, and I want to see you get paid for what you're actually worth. So that's what the job did for me. Coming from a sports background as well, Mitch and I both played hockey against each other. So we're both competitive. We were well known in the towns. We stayed put, which is a big thing. GP preaches about staying in your territory or your area. And Bellingham, right? The reason why he's so successful is he stayed put. Well, now Mitch and I are trusted resources to go to talk about an opportunity because we stayed put. We didn't hop around to all these different companies. We're not the solar guys. We're the Sunrun guys.
Yeah.
So now we're well trusted and well versed, and people know that we're succeeding. And you just become more trusted and it goes from there. So.
Loyalty over royalty.
People don't like to follow people that are jumping around a lot.
No.
So it's like if you're constantly jumping around as a leader and then you're like, yo, come check this out, people stop taking you seriously because they're like, all good, dude. Like, I like you as a friend. Like, if I see you out on a Saturday night, we'll grab a drink, or we'll say hi, or we'll hang, or whatever. But in terms of following you for my career, like, you know, I'll wait till the next company that you go to or the second or third company you go to in 3 or 4 more years. If I'm ever in a position where I need a job, then I'll see what company you're at that point.
People want stability.
Right? Yeah,
people
exactly. It's like you want a safe place that people can always trust and go to. And it speaks loudly about the opportunity that you have, that it is a great opportunity when the longevity really starts like taking place and people are like, dude, I know I can go work with Connor or Mitch because they've been at Sunrun for 4 years. They were at Vivint Solar for years before that. Like they're not going anywhere.
And it's funny too, because not only does that for recruits, but it does that for customers as well.
Yeah.
They're like, well, how long have you been doing this? I say 9 years. They're shocked. 9 years for a kid my age is unheard of.
Staying at the same job. Yeah.
Right.
I haven't left Worcester for 6 years.
We know. Yeah, we can tell Mitch.
Mitch is what do they call people from Worcester?
Worcester Rat.
Worcester Rats.
Worcester Rats?
You guys might not like but yeah, no, doesn't get the best rep. But that was actually you. So you gave a training back when Vivint, it was called The Foundry, before it was Next Plus.
Right.
It was in this living room. It was pretty cool, fun night. And you had preached, stay in your turf, live in your turf. Mm-hmm. It will do wonders for you. I grew up, I never really hung out in Worcester. To this day, people ask me, they're like, you're from Worcester? I'm like, no, I'm from Northborough, Massachusetts. Like, completely different. But I eat there. I go to the bars there. I do everything I do is in Worcester. And it's because of that training you gave me, and it's done wonders for me. I have over 150 installs in Worcester now alone.
That's sick.
And that Worcester gets probably beat up debatably more than any other turf.
One of the most knocked turfs for sure.
It's a big town, but yeah.
It's the second largest city in Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
No one knows that.
Yeah. Yep. It's huge.
Whenever I drive through it, because I drive through Worcester every time I go to like Connecticut or
PV.
Western Mass, whatever. And it's really pretty driving through that 290, the 290.
Yeah,
it's
stay
like a
away from
really
Main Street.
It's a really pretty area.
It's getting better. Yeah.
You drive through it, it's like this place is cool, but then like once you get into the deeper layer 2 of Worcester.
Yeah.
We don't talk about layer 3, but
yeah. There's a lot of good food there. That I will say.
Yeah, it's
great
a
date
food
spot.
town, right?
Picado, if anyone's looking for a good date spot, Picado.
So what's your downline look like, Mitch?
46 layer 1, 55 layer 2.
46 layer 1, 55 layer 2. So
And that was with 3 years of like not recruiting at all.
Yeah,
I wish we still tracked layer 3 and 4, but I mean, you could go into it like Connor's done,
Yeah.
but you're probably 200 plus people.
Realistically.
Yeah, he picked it up out of nowhere right after, unfortunately he lost his stepbrother, and he picked it up, and my gosh, I mean, he wasn't leaving people alone. I said, what was the big difference? Like, how'd you start recruiting versus not doing anything for 3 years? He was like, oh, I just don't leave people alone. I'm like, that's one way to do it.
So guys, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, what's the big deal here? There's really a couple routes to leadership in this company. The first and most obvious one is being a top performer with sales. And the second, a little less obvious, but equally, if not more impactful, is recruiting. And when I see, now keep in mind, if you're only good at recruiting, it's going to be difficult to get into a leadership role. And I would say for both of you, you guys have kind of had to had that moment where you get it, where you're like, the recruiting isn't enough on its own, because with a door-to-door sales job, if you're not leading from the front and you're not showing people how to do it, you'll never be an effective leader, because it's one of those jobs that's just really hard, and you can't be a armchair quarterback with this job.
No
like, you have to be willing to go out and show people how to do it. You're going to be a lot more effective.
It's actually one of my favorite parts. I always say to people, it's one of the only jobs in the world that your boss has to do exactly what they're asking of you.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Walmart, the manager's not sweeping the floors, they're not cleaning up the bathrooms. You come in here, everything they're asking you to do, they're doing themselves.
And better than
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But that's the secret sauce. It's like what separates us from our competitors is we live and die by leading from the front with our leadership. And it's really the difference between us and a lot of our competitors. So the recruiting piece, it's the most impactful person on the entire business is the top recruiter that also sells. And you don't have to hit franchise and be the number one rep on your team every quarter, but you have to put up respectable numbers in order to get into leadership, right? So you guys finally had those moments where you started hitting those numbers that could get you into leadership. But back to the point, the reason I'm sharing it is there's a lot of people on the listening right now that are like, what's the big deal? I want you guys both to name off some of the most impactful people that you've recruited that are still working for us right now.
Eric Bonarigo would be one.
Connor recruited Eric Bonarigo, market leader in Boston North, running one of the top teams in the country. How did you recruit Eric?
Eric, so Eric actually put up a post on Instagram, basically saying, "Hey, does anyone know anyone that works at Vivint Solar?" And I think like 5 girls DM'd him my profile, and then he just reached out to me, and we actually had a phone call for about an hour and a half. It was prime time. I know exactly what street I was on when he called me, and in the back of my head, I'm like, am I wasting my time right now? Like, I should be knocking. But he was asking all the right questions. He's very well spoken, seemed super sharp, owned his own business. So I told him.
But it was during COVID, and his business was
shut down.
Yeah, it was like party planner, basically, not event planner, event planning, photo booth, all that kind of stuff. So once that
there was no events
didn't exist,
going on, right?
he was like, now what?
Yep. So he was taking,
he was making like $300K a year, by the way, at that job.
Yeah, no, he was doing really well for himself, and that came to an end. And we just got him in, and I was the point of contact for him. A lot of my recruiting has been through social media. It's a free service. It doesn't. You have to make sure that you use social media. You don't let it use you, right? So when I go on Instagram, you won't see me just sitting there and scrolling. I actually use it for my business to portray the life that I'm living, that able to live because of this job.
Yeah.
And that's how I get, I would say, 99% of my recruits is just living my life on social media.
I don't think yours is like a flex fest. Like don't like a lot of people take that as like, I got to post my car. I got to post my watch, my shoes, whatever. I think you do a good job of kind of showing a life that a lot of guys your age might be envious of
without showing off,
without kind of being a dink about it, right? Like without being just like flexing everything you have. So like, where's that balance?
Well, I just think it's a big mistake for people to judge people like that and to see it from a form of jealousy, because you should actually want to change your mindset and want to celebrate other people's wins. Like if you look at someone's Instagram and you're like, wow, they're showing off, that's so ridiculous. that's actually more speaking on volumes of that person themselves.
Yeah.
And they have to change their mindset, right? I mean, I've always seen this quote. It's like, don't tell anybody about your problems because 80% don't care and 20% are glad that you have them. And so it's really important to understand the mindset of people that might even be close to you that don't really want to see you win. So I just say, you know, to be honest with you, post the things. We have a very unorthodox job. If I want to, I can go to the gym at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, right? Where other people are stuck at work. So we have an unorthodox job. So I kind of portray that we can live an unorthodox life by, you know, having a decent car, going to the gym when I want, working outside, videoing team meetings and the hype and things like that, that other jobs just don't have any of that.
Right.
So I'm really good at like using my eyes, seeing something that other people might say, wow, that's pretty sick, and just taking a picture or video of it. So that's what I've always been able to do on Instagram and Snapchat and things like that. So
you recruit Eric. Yep. Eric has then gone on to become a 6-star recruiter himself. Yeah. So, and you know, we have a lot of people that listen to this that don't work for Sunrun. So like, what's a 6-star recruiter? Can you guys, Mitch probably knows off the top of his head.
50 points.
And how do you get 50 points?
So each person can get you up to 11 points that you bring in.
How do they get 11 points?
You get 1 point for starting. You get a point for each of their first 10 VCs. SRAs now.
Yeah, so their first 10 deals they sell.
And then your layer 2.
What about installs? Do installs matter?
Yes. Well, we just switched league levels, so it's a little different, but the points are still the same. So let's say you level up. If you do 5 installs, that's a point. If they do 10 installs, that's a point. 15's a point. 20's another point. So like Sean Luizo, I brought in, Sean hits franchise just about every quarter. That's 4 or 5 points every quarter.
Yeah.
And then your layer 2, that gets you all the same, just divided by 2.
Yep.
Yeah, cut it in half.
Yeah.
And you can also get points for when they get a new league level, correct?
That's
like if no one's ever hit.
So when the first time they hit a new league level, you get a point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting to, if I asked 50 reps at the company exactly how recruiting star points worked, I'll bet you 5 of them could tell me, maybe less. And so I would say that's step 1. You know, if you're listening to this right now and you want to become a top recruiter, learn exactly how the point structure works and learn exactly how to become a 6-star recruiter and like understand how the scoring works, right? Is that in the back of your mind each quarter when you guys are monitoring your recruiting stars? Because you want to make sure you hit 6-star every quarter.
I check it every
Are
day.
you guys keeping track of how your like downlines are doing?
I don't at all.
He has his on pretty much. I mean, he's got me under him.
It's
and
not
Eric
necessarily
under him.
unlocked though. No, I'm still bringing in bodies all the time. All I'm doing is not changing. If anything, I'm doing more than what I've done in the past.
Yeah.
It's worked for me, so I'm not sitting there tracking it. I should, because if you
you hit it pretty easily at this point with between Eric, Mitch is under you. Right. So you hit it pretty easily now. So you probably don't have to track, but it doesn't really change your approach to the job.
No, it doesn't. No, I put my head down. I go to work, and I think that Mitch and I are really good at reading people. You know, this job is reading people. When someone answers the door, you have a very small amount of time to judge how you're going to talk to them. I say the same exact words on every single doorstep, but how I say them with the tone and the speed and the volume, that's the only thing that changes. But Mitch and I can look at somebody in a bar or a club or, you know, at a hockey rink, and like we're really good at pinpointing who's going to be good at this or not in a very small amount of time.
How often are you guys recruiting people that you didn't know, like just random people you meet at places?
At least, I try at least 2 a week.
Bring your mic closer.
I try at least.
It needs to be like within, you know, an inch or 2 of your face, Mitch.
Here?
You can pull the whole thing, dude. You can pull it like.
I try at least 1 or 2 a week.
1 or 2 a week, or just randoms?
Yeah. I mean,
from like the bar or from where?
I'm at the bars less these days. I got a nice lady. She's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
She doesn't really enjoy that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I try to go out every Thursday and Saturday night. One for team bond. I go out with people in our office. It's the family feel. That's what people really stay here for. They don't stay here for the paychecks. They stay because of what the environment is and the culture. Saturdays, yeah, I might get a little over the top, but I'm going home with one recruit 100%. No matter
You
where.
go out. He goes out looking for a goal to recruit someone on a Saturday night.
We have different names for recruits, I guess.
No. I go home with Raylan.
All right. We'll cut that part out.
Jiminy. You guys are gonna get yourselves in trouble here.
I wear a belt these days. I'm good. Chastity belt.
Yep. So regularly talking to people, like, and are these just complete strangers or just like people in your general network, but like you will just...
I think we both ran through our networks at this
Yeah,
point, honestly.
yeah, network's gone. It's strangers. So I'll see someone at the gym. We'll talk about a set, or if they ask me to spot them.
You're at the gym.
Yep.
You see a guy, you're like, he looks like he could be pretty sharp.
Yep.
Now, what makes you think when you look at someone that they could be good at the job? Like what, like you see the way they're working in the gym, or
well,
is it just
it's not only that. So if you're at the gym, you're already self-motivated. You're already disciplined, right? You care about the way you look. And I also, when I'm in like social interactions or public spaces, I also look at how people look at them. So I think that's really important. Like if you're not being noticed or looked at, then you might not be a high target recruit potentially. So I'm always looking at, how much attention does that person command? For example, I went into a barber shop out closer to my office, and it was walk-ins only, so I couldn't set an appointment, but all these barbers were well dressed. They were clean cut, like suits and all that. And I looked for the guy that was commanding the most attention, that had the best interpersonal communication skills, that was using his hands to talk, right? That was the guy I targeted. So I don't want to be the guy that walks into a bar or walks into that establishment and goes, do you want a job? Do you want a job? Like
It ain't gonna work.
Because it's like, you want to make it such kind of exclusive, being like, I actually think that you would be the right fit for this. And then that's kind of how I approach that person. So it's more, there actually is some strategy behind it. It's really not just going out and rapid firing all these questions to people. It's kind of, if I could see myself hanging out with you or going out with you to have a beer, then I want you part of my team.
Yeah.
But if I can't see myself spending time with you, then I'm not going to even talk to you about the opportunity.
Customers too. I've recruited 4 or 5 customers now.
Really?
They know the product better than anybody. They sat through a sales presentation.
They got the app.
They sat through a sales pitch. They already understand it. They don't.
Right.
You don't have to teach them the VC. You don't have to teach them. They have it.
They already know.
And they
yeah.
actually believe in the product.
Right.
They're a testament of what they're selling.
Powerful. That's sick. Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. I think when I was managing teams, if I kind of was like, I know I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with this person for them to be successful. And if there's someone that I just am not going to vibe with and like want to spend time with, I would just not hire them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to invest. I only have so many minutes in a day, and I want to invest my time in people that I enjoy being around and that I want to be around and I want to like have on my team. And so I had to be pretty like selective with who I would hire. And what happens is what I'll see all the time is like teams will hire just like anybody and everybody. The mistake there, now I understand there's some teams that are like low on headcount and you just gotta like take what you can get, right? And it's like you just gotta you gotta take what you can get. And but then once your team kind of hits this like tipping point of the headcount's healthy, you're in a great place, the team is really productive, at that point you get a little more picky. And the mistake you make if you start just bringing in everyone, when a high caliber recruit comes in and they see a bunch of like scrubs,
They don't want to be a part of it.
I'm in the wrong room.
They're like, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
This is not my people, right? So I think there's a balance. Like you got to like, sometimes you got to take what you can get, but then once you get that tipping point where like the team's healthy,
You can come more
start getting a little pickier, and you're going to start attracting higher caliber people. And I think you guys have both been a part of teams that have done that, where like it gets easier and easier to attract higher caliber people when you have high caliber people on the team.
Right. It's like a motor, and it gets momentum, right? And it doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to me about, you guys have a lot of fun together, and you guys have been doing this job. When did you start, Mitch?
Do you remember that time?
I interviewed here 3 times. This kid, he put in work for me. So we were roommates. I've been best friends with Con for a long time, like outside of work, before work. And I don't really know how much I can say.
Well, so to put this in perspective, Mitch, I knew Mitch was capable of doing things, doing really, really great things, because he was already really good with people and running a business. Okay, that's how I'll put it. Mitch was very, very good at running his own business, was very good at people, and had people always coming back. He was very personable. And, unfortunately, it wasn't the right business for him. So I just saw the opportunity. I said, basically, dude, if you can do this, what you're doing right now, and bring it over to what Vivint at the time, now Sunrun, can actually provide for you, like, you're really going to be in a really good spot. And I never let up off of him because I always believed in him. And
took a couple losses.
Why did it take you so long to have it finally click for you to start taking it more serious? Because I would say you were with us for a good 4 years before you actually started taking the job a little more seriously.
It's kind of just why? What's the point of being here if you're not gonna?
I know, but why didn't you before? I mean, there's a lot of people that are in that boat where they're here, but they're not taking it serious. So why weren't you taking it serious?
When I first started, I still had something else going on the side. So it was kind of just like this. Like, I have the worst combine.
You were serving two masters for a while.
Yes, and to this day, I think I have the worst combine in Sunrun history.
You had two SRs.
I had two VCs.
I think I remember telling Richard to fire you.
I told Richard to fire him.
But no, well, that's why I have a big heart for people, like giving them a second chance, because you never know who's going to turn in with the right people and the right leadership, mentorship,
But you said it right there. It's the environment, right?
Yep.
It took them some time, but now you're in the right room with the right people that you grow these relationships with, and now your conversations go from talking about blacking out at the bars and these girls to what are we investing in, what's a good property, what can it's just your conversations change, your environment changes, and now that's kind of why you rose up and matched those other people.
Can I tell you what my take is on it?
I'll leave this, brother.
So, and I think this is a bit for both of you. I think you guys both come from sport backgrounds, both played hockey at a very high level. And you have had coaches that were very hard on you guys and strict with you guys.
Yeah.
Then when you came to Vivint Solar and Sunrun, I think you were the accountability. It was like you could have a bad week and there were no consequences to it,
which we weren't used to.
And by the way, I know you guys. I want to give Richard Howell a shout out. He was your first manager, and I know you guys. You give him a lot of credit for a lot of your success.
All my credit goes to him.
But and Richard has heard me say this, but I'm Richard has a really soft heart, and he has a really hard. Richard's one of the best salesmen of all time.
Yep. One of the best people.
Richard's one of the best people of all time.
You take workouts out of it. Richard's helped me.
He's got a very soft heart, and I would be like, dude, you gotta hammer these guys, whatever, and he just it wasn't in his DNA.
In him. Yeah, that's not who he is.
But I think he served his purpose for both of you at that time in your life. Once Richard moved on, and we missed Richard, by the way. I'm sure he's gonna listen to this because he loves you guys, and he's gonna want to hear what you guys have to say. So, Richard, we love you. Richard moved on, still a great friend. I think the difference is that when you started working, once Richard left, you kind of didn't have that friendship crutch anymore.
Right.
I think Richard was a friend to you guys, but once he left, you kind of didn't have that friend crutch anymore.
And also GP's great. He really woke me up personally.
And Greg is a friend, but Greg is business.
He's a coach at the end of the day. He's a Bill Belichick.
He's hey, dude, no exceptions. If you're not doing this, you're not here anymore.
I'm going to find somebody else who will do it.
Yeah.
And it's you have to be a good leader to be able to portray that message like Greg can do, because it's a very fine line. Because if you get someone on the wrong, if you rub that message the wrong way to somebody, they'll say, well, I'm 1099 and you can't make me do this and whatever. Right. But Greg's very good at saying, these are my expectations of you. And, if you can't make it happen, it's not going to be a good fit.
And I feel like some people might misconceive it as he's being a jerk. No, That's his way of showing he cares.
Yeah, it's accountability.
All he wants is for you to be better.
Yeah.
That's it at the end of the day. He might show it in a different way than Richard did, but it's the same overall goal. Is they want you to be a better person. They want you to be better at your job. And they want you to make more money. What's wrong about that? It's the best thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that was kind of a tipping point for both of you, is you guys were in this really comfortable environment with a more of a friend sort of situation, which was great for you at the time, especially when you were younger and getting going on the job. But the big shift happened, I feel like, once somebody started really holding you both accountable.
Well, it was that. It was also the timing of everything else, right?
And you were just getting older too.
Yeah,
it's like you're growing up.
The developments, the trainings, right? It all kind of happened at a sweet spot. So that's really when we started to take off with our production and numbers. And we recognized we got to stop partying every weekend. We stopped going out to the clubs because we literally went to the clubs every weekend. Like every weekend, every weekend night, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
it
was like
we got Empire on Wednesdays.
They did a free bottle
we
Monday.
got Shrine on Tuesdays.
Right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, by the way, there's a lot of, I'm sure, single guys listen to this. I can tell you right now, I don't know if it's possible for anyone to party harder than Mitch and Connor did for a long
still
time.
Feeling it.
And by the way, like your entire paychecks were just going to the weekend. Yeah. Like you guys. We're getting you guys were getting
into it small.
You were getting paid, and then it was like the whole paycheck was going to the weekend.
Well, the economy was a lot better back then. So
Jägermeister still hasn't sponsored me. It's crazy.
Here's how I look at it. You guys were in your early 20s. You can afford to make mistakes and kind of be a little, you can live it up in your 20s. Okay, the sooner you get your act together, the sooner you're going to start building wealth. Obviously. But if you're gonna screw around, it's in your early 20s. It's when you're single.
Yeah, it's
it's
perfect.
when
I don't regret anything at all.
Yeah.
But my advice, if you're 20, I would say, listen, I'm not even 30 yet, but I'm still looking forward to going to bed at 9 o'clock now. So that FOMO, that just goes away like real quick.
Really?
You'll wake up with some aches when you're like 28. You're like, oh my God, and now you just want to go to bed.
I think there's power in finding a good girl too. Like we both have girlfriends now.
Yeah.
They're both incredible.
100%.
It's like it helps a lot. Honestly.
Yeah, but the timing of when you found a good girl, quote unquote, I think that is important too. You were at a stage of your life where you were like ready for that
and it's
ready
a big mistake.
to like settle down a little bit.
To
like
rush
you're
into
ready
it
to like
So I know too many guys. I don't know what's wrong with some of these guys.
And by the way, is there anyone that's a bigger wuss than Mitch when a girl breaks up with him? I mean, this dude. I mean,
which week
in
is
Miami?
this
every
dude,
other week.
I mean, I think I've seen, I don't know how many breakups, but I'm like, bro. Do we have to fall apart?
He's at the bar until 5:30.
He's got a big heart, man.
He does. He's got a huge heart,
just got
which
a
is the
big
best
heart.
thing about him, but it can be some sort of a downfall. But there's a big mistake that guys can make where they're like, "Oh, I need a girl to be happy." It's like, no. You gotta get to the gym. You gotta work consistently. You gotta make yourself happy because now you can take on that additional energy.
Yeah.
So you don't want to rely on anybody else for your happiness. I see a lot of guys doing that, and I'm so confused for them. So,
you guys, I want to just, we don't have to get too much into it, but so one of the most challenging times I had in my own life was right at the end of 2019, and going into 2020, I got divorced, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but was married 17 years, and it's kind of funny. Like I got married when I was 24, started dating my ex-wife when I was 22, and before that, I'd gone on a Mormon mission. So from age like 19 onward, I didn't really date as an adult. So I basically went from high school, dating girls in high school, whatever, which isn't really dating. It's just like hanging out.
yeah.
And then went on a mission, came home, went on like dates with like 10 different girls, and then met my ex-wife, got married less than a year later, and then 17 years. So I was like coming out of this like cryogenically frozen chamber. I was like unfreezing out of this like ice block, like single atom is all of a sudden. And then the crazy part is I also had money to work with. So I wasn't like
pretty good looking.
I wasn't like a 23-year-old dude that's broke,
Right.
but I was like a 40-year-old guy with money. And the thing is I had never really like had a college like
Experience.
party experience or like anything like that. So I was kind of like living out some, I don't even know how to explain it other than just like
getting out of your system.
repressed
Yeah.
things that I hadn't ever done. Right.
Let the boys have fun.
So I bring all this up because when I went through that, I had my kids every other weekend. And for the first time in my life, I was by myself. I bought this home. This home's not like a mansion, but it's a decent sized home.
mansion.
And I remember sitting in here.
For those of you who don't, it's a big house.
It's not the big.
He's
It's a
humble.
moderately sized home. But anyway, so I'm
You should see
sitting
what
in
I
this,
grew up in.
So I'm sitting in this home on like a Friday night by myself. My kids are with their moms. And that's when it like really hit me that like, man, like I'm just sitting here like, you know, and I'm running this company. I'm running the whole, you know,
Yeah.
I have hundreds of sales guys that I manage. I know I could text, call any of them at any point. I have a built-in network of buddies to hang out with if I want to.
100%. Yeah.
But I was just like, I took a moment to just kind of like, you know, sit there alone. And that's when the weight of all of it kind of started hitting me. And I remember it's kind of funny, but you guys, it was like once you guys kind of saw what was happening with me, there was never a point. It was like every other weekend, you guys like had my kid schedule. And every other weekend, I would get texts from you guys on like Wednesday or Thursday, and you'd be like, hey, what's the plan this week? Hey, here's the plan this week. And I'd be like, hey, I'm just going to chill at home, whatever. And you guys would be like, nope. And you'd be
Actually,
like,
you're not.
nope.
No, you're not.
And if
I know where
I
you
like,
live, buddy.
and if I said I wasn't going to come out, like you guys would literally show up at my house and just like, hey, we're not letting you stay here alone.
Yeah.
So, and it would, you know, you would take me out into Boston, you'd take me out, you know, downtown, the nightclubs, whatever. And I was just like super uncomfortable, like didn't really know what I was doing. But I really appreciated that you guys weren't just like letting me just like sit here and wallow. You know what I mean? And it meant a lot at the time. So I'm really grateful for you guys. And I'm getting like a tad emotional about it because it's like,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Wow.
But no, you guys were there when
Times are tough.
when times were tough.
Yeah.
That's when you find out who your true friends are, though. In all
That's
seriousness.
That's right. And, you know, I think what has really made you guys such great recruiters is it's not just me that's like had that experience with you guys. Like you guys, that's just kind of who you are. Like you guys go out of your way to make people feel cared about and to make people feel like they're a part of something. And like you guys like are the cool kids, but you're not the cool kids that are too cool for everybody. You're the cool kids that like
come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's come
like
with us.
come with us. Like
Right.
you're the cool kid at school who's like, oh no,
Sitting with the kid that nobody else wants to sit with.
that's right. Like you're the one
Like,
who's
no,
like,
everyone can come. What do you mean? Like,
And
Yeah.
we're bringing people to that table. We're not going to that table alone. We're making 4 other people come sit at
and
that
you
table
see the
with us.
kid sitting alone at the table, and you're like, hey, buddy, like come with us,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, I think that's the right mentality, and it's like that's
I think hockey, I mean, you played football. Hockey, I think, is a big part of that. I don't know if you agree or not, but hockey, one of the things I like about it is the brother. It's
camaraderie.
The companionship.
My
It's the
gosh,
only
yeah.
sport, if you get hit cheap, there's something bad, that next time you're on the ice, that next shift, somebody is on the ice specifically to
go
F
take the head
you
off.
up.
Yeah.
Take the head
That's
off.
it. There's enforcers on every team. Their job, it's Newton's law. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. And you hit someone cheap, you know your brother's got your back.
right.
And if you put that in life, and also we don't have perfect lives. We both been handed our shit hands, but it's a matter of L's are not losses, they're lessons. What can you take from it? What can you turn it into? And it's also, like you said, just being there for each other.
Yeah.
Dude, like when Eduardo died, man,
Tough.
that was tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
So
I mean-
question Nat, do you guys miss single, newly divorced Adam, or are you guys
I like this one.
No, this is you got a good situation here. I wouldn't
Yeah.
change a single thing if I was you. But
I've
I'm not saying I'm going to change anything. I'm just saying.
I like
I had a
because
wife-
now we'll go to sports games.
Yeah.
And that's still fun for me.
Well, you know what it is? Towards the end of the year when, everything kind of slows down, it gets dark and the whole region's kind of together, that's when we can do big things together. But nothing's fun about going to the club with 4 people. Like, it's only fun if you have a table with all of your friends.
Everybody.
Yeah. That's when you, like, actually have really memorable moments. Other than that, if it's like, you want to whim with 5 or 6 other people, it's not really that fun. It's not how it's cracked up to be. But anything you do as a family, as a unit, that's when it becomes a really special moment. So I'm excited for the holiday season and the DM events and things like that to get together and kind of recognize and be appreciative of what we have right now. So
I'll
cool
have a
time
new
to
shirt
reflect.
for you for Christmas.
You what?
I'll have another cute shirt for you on Christmas party.
Oh, I think we're doing that again. The big
remember that shirt I had
event.
last year?
I got to check with Keenan on a date.
Oh boy.
My bad Santa shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, that one? The big night live? Yeah, we got to do that again.
I think maybe this leads into the next thing. You guys have proactively figured out ways to bring people together and in a meaningful way. So this big Christmas fundraising thing. I know that you guys weren't I don't even know whose idea it was. I don't know if John came to me and was like, hey, I can do this, or came to you or whatever.
No, you talked to me about it. We were going to do the top floor of Umbria or something like that.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was gonna be
that's right.
exclusive.
And then you guys started talking
And we were
then
like, no, let's bring everybody.
Yeah. That's right. So you're always proactively looking for ways to do cool stuff as a group. And I think, if you're listening and you're out in California or Fresno or
Shout out Adler Good. Great
who?
guy. Adler Good.
Love Adler.
Adler Good.
Yep.
And how about H-Town? Houston? Come on. give him
Houston's
love.
awesome. Love the guys down there. Great. The New
No,
Jersey
not
guy.
Houston. Connor Houston.
Oh, Connor Houston.
Friday Night Lights.
I don't know if he's still working.
I don't think
we'll have to check with
I don't
him.
know if he does.
I think he. All right. Maybe not.
He's going to listen either way. Houston, if you're not working with us, get your act together, dude.
We're waiting for you, kid.
Get your act together.
What,
Jiminy.
what was it? Remember, was he shooting hoops in Natalia's mother's driveway? Or
I
whatever?
don't know. He was shadow boxing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Listen, have a lot of fun with the job.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, I think it's
but-
important too, is to celebrate the little wins, for sure. It keeps you going, and to have that teamwork and camaraderie, just like a sports team, is important too. I mean, it's funny, when we recruit people too, very little does it have to do with the money. Yeah, the money's great, but most people want to hear about the personal development and the teamwork and the office feel. Like, they want to feel a part of something, because most jobs and opportunities don't really provide that for them. So, yeah, the commissions are awesome, and that does help us recruit effectively, but it's really what the job, the other things that we're actually talking about, that make it more appealing for people to actually want to work here.
Something I have experienced too is every single person that you recruit, it unlocks an entire new group of people.
That's like a referral.
So, yep. And I'm thinking about Sean Louiso, and it's you recruited Sean.
I
Sean
honestly didn't even really recruit Sean, so it's a funny story.
I didn't recruit Sean, and he's pissed.
I was asking Sean for electric bills
Yeah.
for 3 or 4 years.
Because both of us, because Sean has an
owns a
NFL
supplement shop,
Yeah,
right?
he has an NFL background.
NFL background, has his own supplement shop, and then has multiple properties.
He was building whole gyms.
He had a Lamborghini for a while, so he was the last person I thought of recruiting. Which, wow, I shot myself in the foot. I mean, it's important to never judge someone or never think that they're too good for the opportunity.
Yeah. Because you'll see people that are doing well, and you're like, oh, he'll
never
want to do this.
Yeah. He's pissed at me that I never recruited him. He still brings it up to this day.
He walked into the office. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, you never told me you get paid like this. I'm like, he's like, you asked me for a bill. I'm like, well, we get paid like this.
He lives in
so
Shrewsbury,
welcome.
by the way. So
Yeah.
That's
no,
funny.
he's got 4
So
properties.
so who got him to the meeting?
it was Cody Klein.
Cody Klein.
Yeah.
Who is
He's no longer
rest in
with
peace.
us.
No longer with us.
Finally was like, bro.
Not rest in peace, but
Yeah.
he's still alive. He's just not with
He's not a
Sunrun.
Sunrun. He's dead to us.
No, he's still cool. We like Cody. Come on.
He's all right.
Connor's got beef with Cody now. Apparently. Or
He owes me
vice
money.
versa. He owes me money. He's just naming people on this thing.
The burn
Anyone
book,
else?
The burn book.
This is a good time to do it.
You
right?
want to get me going?
Oh,
Nah.
man.
There's a reason I just came to Sunrun. We forgot about all those.
So Sean owned a supplement shop. All of a sudden, he's at your meeting.
And now
next
he's
thing
got
you
his
know,
wife, who's becoming one of the top females in the whole
Sonny's
company.
awesome.
She's gonna hit franchise this quarter.
Literally, like it's like you said, the trickle effect.
Yeah.
Just
He's
boom,
recruited a bunch of
boom,
people now.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom.
I think it's all, sales as well as recruiting is all a transfer of energy. It really is. So,
and energy is so valuable.
Yeah, you bring that energy in and talk about energy to a guy like Sean. I mean, he's the most, he'll light up a room without even, you don't even know he's there. And you're like, oh, Sean must be here. I mean,
Yeah.
people portray that vibrance and that energy. So, yeah, once you tap into that, now you tap into their family and their friends. And, it really does go from there. It takes one really good recruit to change the whole trajectory of an office and a team and a region. So
I want to share one story, and then we can kind of wrap it up. But and we got to be careful of the details of this story. But
I know exactly what you're about to bring
I have
up.
barely sweared this whole podcast.
Yeah, good job,
I
man.
think I only had one.
Nice.
Dude, the thing about Mitch is I'm like, step one, stop wearing flip-flops to your sales meetings every day.
No, he said no flip flops. So I thought it would be funny, and I went out and bought some Birkenstocks.
Yeah,
And
he's wearing
Adam
them right
comes
now.
to a meeting, and he goes, "Mitch, I said you said no flip flops. So now the rule has become no open-toed shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wore him to his house today.
This isn't a correlation.
I'll say I've been harder on both of you over the years than maybe anyone that I've worked with.
You're like my second father.
But it's
brother
because
at the same
it's
time.
because of the potential that I see in both of you, and because I really do care about both of you. And it's like when I see you guys just being mid-20s dudes that make a lot of money and being idiots, I feel an obligation to like rein you
Say
in a little
something,
bit.
yeah.
Because what I don't want to do, and this happens all the time, is we lose guys to them getting fired, right?
Yep.
Like we lose guys getting fired doing dumb stuff. And
So you see a lot of risk with us.
there's times where it's been, I would say not so much in the past
No,
couple of years.
no,
Like you guys have grown up a lot in the past couple of years, but like early on, you guys, I mean, it wasn't uncommon for me to send a text to Mitch or you or whoever and be like I was
Did
pretty
you
stern.
really just post that?
I would like I would literally text you and be like, hey, delete that, off your Instagram, or I would like text you and say, dude, get your act together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And stop being late and stop doing this and stop doing this. But it's because of the love that I have for you guys. And so one piece of it is like at some point you're gonna, and you probably already are, but like start paying that forward. You know what I mean? Like you're
100%.
recruiting a lot of dudes who don't come from great structured families, they come from rough backgrounds, and they need that coaching,
Yep.
right? Like they need that influence from you guys. But so let's just end with this, guys. You guys have been awesome, and your friendship has meant a lot to me over the years, and you guys have just been phenomenal recruiters and just great people to have on the teams. If you had advice for anyone just getting started now, what would you guys encourage them to do in the way to approach this job? So why don't I start with Connor, and then Mitch, you end it.
Yeah, just approach it like really like any other job, right? So if you're currently in some sort of 9 to 5 where you have to work 8 hours a day for 5 or 6 days a week, then take that same exact amount of time and effort and put it into this opportunity. It obviously, I started this job 9 days before my son was born. I was 20 years old. And I had a burning reason as to why I had to succeed. The reason was I had no other option, right? I couldn't fail. Otherwise, my son wasn't going to eat. So I think it's really important to figure out, if you're young and you don't have a why to push you forward, to motivate you to create that discipline, figure out what that is and make it so that your choice to go to work, since you don't have to clock in and clock out, you have to make that decision on your own. So you need to find something that gives you that non-negotiable. For me, I had my son entering this world, so it wasn't a question if I was going to go work that day. It was, I'm doing this. I have no other option. So obviously, this is an extreme example, but I do attribute that to my early success in this job. But find your why. Find the reason why you want to do it. Find the reason why you said yes in the interview. Find the reason why someone asked you to come to this opportunity, and make your decision to work a non-decision. Make it a non-negotiable. Put in those first 120 days into your draft. That's a learning curve. Prove yourself. Give it everything you possibly can, and then I'll see you on the top of the leaderboard.
And I feel like to be a great recruiter, it's kind of just who you are. Like you just talk about the job with everyone that you talk to.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not like you're not like shy about it. You just talk about it. You ask them what they do for a living.
Yep.
You get to know them a little bit, and then you start.
It's also kind of like that hot chick theory too, like in Hitch, where like you don't want to be like, oh, it's insane. You make so much money. You make your own hours. You work whenever you want. My boss is the man. People are gonna be like, this sounds too good to be true. It's like you're saying free solar, no cost, no lead. Like you're saying all these good things. It's almost too pushy. So you just got to have a very casual conversation saying, sometimes I just plant some seeds and I leave. Right, I know I'll see them again at the gym or at the restaurant. So sometimes I'll plant a couple seeds, get them thinking. I'll be like, yeah, man, see you later. Nice to meet you. And I know that I can come back and get that kind of as a two-touch. So, my advice is don't be too pushy, don't be too aggressive, because no one likes that. Whether you're talking to a girl, whether you're talking to a customer, whether you're talking to a potential recruit, no one likes someone that's too pushy and over the top. Just be normal. Just have a normal conversation. This job is incredible, but there's pros and cons to it. You get a lot of rejection and things like that. So just be real with people and be genuine. I think genuine people are far and few between, especially nowadays. So be genuine, be yourself, and that's kind of what people admire. I mean, Mitch is the same person. No matter what room you walk into or he walks into, he's Mitch Bolduc, right? Adam's the same way. I'm the same way. No matter what room we walk into, we're ourselves. I can't stand people that they are chameleons to their environment and they change up and they leave one room and say other things. So that's what I have to say about that. But
what do you think?
Mine's just like I said, I haven't been handed the easiest play. I had a good childhood, but had a lot of loss. Like my stepbrother, one of my best friends, Carter, me and Connor's old roommate, Gage. Yeah. Like I've seen you can have the world in your hands and it just be taken from you in an instant. And I always think like, what if Carter was still here? What if Gage was still like? Ian, it's just you're here. Don't waste this opportunity. You have one life. If you're not doing what you can to be the best you can and try to level up, who wants to be the same for the next 50, 70 years of their life? Why wouldn't you want to be better? It's kind of like a loaded question, but it's just be appreciative of the fact that you have an opportunity to actually do what you want to do and be who you want to be.
Yeah. And
you're not just a robot clocking in, clocking out on somebody else's schedule, on somebody else's standards.
I heard this guy say it sends chills through my spine whenever I hear it, but he's like, you should thank God for the opportunity that you have right now, because someone's in the someone's in the hospital right now begging God for the opportunity that you have. I was like, holy crap, because some people, we have to walk around and talk to people. There's people in the hospital that can't even do that. So take every day for granted and just be super grateful that we're here and living another day for sure.
Love that. Well, you guys have been awesome. And I think whenever I see you two go to like your team meetings or I see you guys hanging out with your friends on the weekend, it's everyone that you work with, and everyone that you work with is your friend. And you guys are always doing stuff outside of work. And I think that's really important for teams that are trying to build a really good team culture, and especially these larger teams. Yeah. You have to have a lot of stuff that you're doing outside of work too, on a Saturday night or a Sunday or a Wednesday morning workout or just whatever it is. Like that's your life and your family and your network. And then what happens is once you have that, it becomes easier to like bring in additional people into the family, and it's like when they see you guys go out on a Saturday night, and I know it's not so much now where you guys are kind of like settling down a little bit now, but
find me at the dive bar nowadays.
Three years ago, it's like Connor and Mitch are out. There's an entourage of 20 other people with you.
All Sunrun
guys. And then everyone else at that place.
It's like, I want to be a part of that.
Feels the energy coming from your group. And then they all want to be a part of that group, huge. Right?
That was huge.
It's like this amoeba just like mobbing through these places that you'd go to, and it would just like suck people in, And so pretty cool what you guys have done. I mean, talk about impact on a company and a business. And the cool thing for me, just watching you guys from, this front row seat I've had, is it's like just the beginning for both of you. Yeah. Like you guys it's taken you a little while to like grow up a little bit. And now you're entering like the second phase of your career where you're starting to take it a lot more serious. You starting to understand the opportunity a little bit more. I mean, both of you guys have, a ton of money in stock with the company that's going to change your life. You've both been able to do things you never thought you were going to be able to do financially. And you're not even scratching the surface yet.
Yeah, not even close. Just getting started, baby.
Pretty awesome. All right, Mitch Bolduc, Connor Doyle, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
If you're listening to this and interested in joining our teams, DM us on Instagram at Run the League.
What are you waiting for? Run the league, shoot us a DM, and let's get going.